guys, Marky here from Capricorn Crafter. You get to see me on this side of the camera today, and we're doing something a little bit new. Um, I'm gonna work on this coat and replace the zipper in it. So, thank you. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, check it out, see if it can help you at all. Today's Friday. It is January 5th. It's the new year, 2024. Gosh, it's crazy. Um, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what my plans are for the channel and um, kind of go from there a little bit and sit and hang out with me if you so choose to, I guess. Whenever I do these videos, I think of all these things in my head of like what I'm going to talk about, and then like kind of have an idea, but then usually my brain wanders and yeah. So that's my everyday life. Like I think of all these different things and then I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to write this down and kind of have like somewhat of an idea of what I'm going to talk about, but then I'm like, "No, I just want to be real." And that's all I can do. So, coffee. It's kind of getting cold now, but I don't know if you see my mug. I love this mug. I am a crocheter, and my sister-in-law got this for me one year for, I think it was my birthday. Oh, you can see the glare from the window. But it's like one of my favorite coffee mugs, and I think it's so funny. It's great. I laughed so hard when I opened it. Um, but yeah. So, it's okay. I have other things to drink. I like variety, okay? Usually I'm a pretty simple person. I'm either drinking coffee, Pepsi, which I had to cut down to like one a day, and I was doing really good with that. But now I'm kind of like not so good with it again, but I'm trying, okay? Baby steps. And then water, because I like variety. I never know. Sometimes I'll take a sip of coffee and then a Pepsi and then the water. Like, I like variety. That's just how I am, okay? Anywho, let me tell you a little bit about myself because my very first video that I did was like the first 2 minutes of it was terrible. I had my earbud in because I'm going to be sewing and it's going to be loud. And in that first video, I had the earbud in, but I had the volume on my camera turned up and it's linked. So I kept hearing myself talking in my earbud and it was throwing me off. So the first 2 minutes of my very first video sounds like I'm completely drunk and wasted, but I wasn't. Like once I figured it out, the video did get better. So, and I've gone back and forth and I'm like, I should probably just re-record that video and not, or take that section out. And I played it back for my husband after I posted it and he's like, you can't post that. I'm like, well, too bad. I already did. Real life. And I'm like, I want to be real. So, yeah. So I guess I'm just going to keep that video up there. But with it being the new year, I just wanted to check in and let you know a little bit more about this channel because there will be several more videos that I'm planning on doing. Um, so about me, I'm Marky. I am the creator of Capricorn Crafter. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. I have a husband, um, and I am a left-handed crafter. I crochet, I sew, and when I say I sew, I quilt. I make things like this past fall, I made this wall hanging, um, and I got the pattern from Shabby Fabrics, and I will post that in the description below. So if you ever want to make something like this, um, I got the pattern from them. I'm a crocheter. I test, excuse me, I test patterns or Graphgans for a company called the Crochet Couch. I've done maybe a handful of patterns for them, and I want to do more. So that's one of my goals for this year. And I cross stitch, still fairly new with that. I've tried over the years and just failed at it miserably. But then I came across a few other YouTube channels and creators, and well, not a few, one mainly, um, Rachel Ray, and I'll link her down below or shout out to her. But I came across her channel and she was just starting out, and I was like, well, where was she forever ago? Where was YouTube forever ago, right? Because now it's like if you don't know how to do something, you go onto YouTube and there's a tutorial for everything. So that's helped me out exponentially, and I've had this one project that I've been working on. I think it's been in one of my whip videos, but I've had this project and my husband kept asking me, "Are you ever going to finish it? Are you ever going to finish it?" And it was something that I picked up. I really liked the picture of it, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to get it done." But I was going by the directions that came with the kit or whatever, and they tell you like one way to end stuff, end the colors and whatever. And it's just like very basic instructions. And with that particular pattern, there's a lot of confetti in it. And if you don't know what confetti means, it means a lot of color changes. Yeah, so there's some sections of it where it's one color, um, but then there might be a section where there's like one or two stitches, and then you gotta change colors, and then one or two stitches, and then you change colors. And the way that their instructions explain how to do the color changes, I was like, this is never gonna work. Like, are you kidding me? So I came across Rachel Ray's channel, and she was just starting out, and she had some great tips. Like one of them was how to pre-grid your fabric, and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." And I kind of went over that in one of my other videos. Um and then from her channel, I came across a company, I believe it's Caterpillar Cross Stitch, and they had some videos on there, and they had like four different ways how to start your colors and how to end your colors. And some of their videos helped me tremendously too. So thank you to both of you, Rachel Ray and Caterpillar Cross Stitch, because now I'm like, no problem, I got this, and I've come a long way. Like, um, I'm I broke the pattern that I'm working on for my cross stitch. I broke it up into four sections, and I'm almost done with like one of the four sections. And I was like, well, this is no problem. So I'm happy about that. Oh, and by the way, I'm not really sure how long this video is going to be because I'm just going to be rambling. I guess. I don't know. um so I do cross stitch, I crochet, I sew, and when I say I sew, I'm more of a quilter type sewer. I've tried to do clothes in the past, and again, that was a struggle. But right now, I'm still quilting and doing smaller projects like that, and like my wall hanging. Um, but I've actually have started to kind of put my foot into the door with um, alterations and tailoring. And what I mean by that is that the lady that taught me how to sew and quilt and whatnot, um, has been alt has had a tailor shop of her own, and um, in the past, and now works for a tailor shop here in our town where I live. And she approached me one time and she's like, "Hey, um, would you be interested in learning how to replace zippers for the tailor shop?" And I'm like, "Well, if you're teaching me because you taught me how to quilt and I've have grown with that. So thank you for that. And I said, if you're willing to teach me and help me, absolutely. So I've been doing that for the last few months, and it's been a journey. Let me tell you. All I can say is that when you're trying something new, don't give up. I'm very hard on myself. I'm the type of person that's always criticizing myself. And I guess we are there was a saying, and I'll probably get it wrong, but we're our own worst enemies. And I have beaten myself up so much with this. And there have been many times where I'm like, I'm just going to tell her that I can't do this anymore because I can't. I can't. But then I sit down and I do it, and something clicks in my brain, and I'm like, oh, well, that was easy. So, yeah, all I can say is don't give up. Um, just give yourself grace, and anything new that you're trying is going to be hard. So, just believe in yourself, give yourself grace. If you're working on it and you get frustrated, get up and walk away from it and come back to it with a clear mind. And you know, after a while, if you're still not liking it, then maybe, you can try something else. But just practice, 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 practice. So, sorry, I have to fix this. It's falling out. So, um, yeah. So I figured you can sit with me and maybe I won't get so aggravated today. Um, so yeah, I have like 5 coats that I need to get done and go from there. Yesterday, my intentions at this is my craft room and also our office. And yesterday, I came in here and I was cleaning and reorganizing. I don't know how many times I've done that to this room, but it was a disaster, and it's been a disaster since Thanksgiving. And I was just like, you know what? Today's the day. So I kind of cleaned up a little bit and tried to put some stuff away and get some stuff, like get all the clutter and my intentions were yesterday I was going to record and like have you watch me and kind of just chit chat or whatever as I was doing it, but I looked at it, I walked in here and I'm like, there's no way I can record what this room looks like. I'm so embarrassed. I mean, this table was just full of stuff, and it still kind of is, like up against this wall over here. I kind of pushed like the big stuff out of the way. Um and I have stuff on the end of it, and I'm still trying to find spots for some things, but I'm like, I can't do that. So I spent all day yesterday just kind of like cleaning stuff out and reorganizing, and I feel very good about it. So, and I actually had my machine over on this table, which is like a little sewing cabinet, and it has drawers and stuff, but with working on the coats and stuff, it wasn't enough room. So now I moved my machine over here onto my big table, and I love this table. A little story about this table: it's a marble top table, and it's high enough for me to cut fabric because I had a different table and it was lower, and I hated going like bending over to cut fabric. So now like this one's a little bit higher and I can cut it, but it's a marble top. And it was really funny because my husband was out of town and I was out with my grandma, and we went to the Habitat for Humanity store, and I had never been there before, and I saw this table and I'm like, oh my God, Grandma, I need this table because it's like the perfect height. I can get like my big, I just had a regular cutting mat and stuff. And I'm like, I could put my cutting mat on there and like cut fabric and do this. And it gives me enough room. And it was $50. Okay. And it's heavy and it's solid. And all I remember is that my husband was out of town, and I call him and I'm like, hey, I found this table at Habitat for Humanity for $50 and I want to get it. And um yeah, so we're gonna have to come back here when you're back in town to pick it up. And he's like, all right. Well, we went to the store to pick it up, and he's like, how the hell are we gonna get this into the house? And I was like, well, I don't know. I didn't think about that. And he goes, I can't lift this. I'm gonna need like three people to help me because it's a marble top and it's heavy. And I'm like, it's all right. We got this, you know. And we got it. We got it in the house. I think we ended up taking the legs off. And then he was like, are you kidding me? He's like, yeah, the top of it's nice, but it has like silver legs and whatever. And I'm like, it's okay. We can paint them. We haven't. They're still silver and there's black and whatever. But I'm like, hey, it works. So yeah, that was fun. He was really surprised, and I'm like, it was a great deal. It's a good table. There's like no nicks in it. So then, that Christmas, he got me a big cutting mat, and it actually takes up the whole table, so that's pretty cool. And then he got me a big, because I just had like the wool pressing mat, like a 12 by 12 square. So then he got me a big pressing mat, um, also. Oh shoot, so it helps with when I'm pressing out my quilt blocks or whatever, or bigger pieces of fabric. So that's really cool too. So deep down, he knows that, you know, it'll all turn out okay. And he loves me. If I can deal with him going duck hunting and being gone for whatever, then he can deal with my stuff. And he does, and he supports me. So I had to raise my chair up. I just have a regular rolling office chair, but I had to raise it up so I could be in line with my machine for when I go to sew. But when I sit in it, my feet don't touch the ground, so when it rolls away from me, I'm like trying to, because yeah, I'm short. My feet don't touch the ground sometimes when I sit on things. Whatever. So, uh, yeah, like I said, it's a bunch of randomness talking. Alrighty, well, let's start tearing out this zipper, shall we? Switching over to Pepsi now because my coffee is cold. Get some water too. I want to put my apron on because when you rip out zippers and you're picking out the stitches, there's a lot of threads. Hey, Missouri Star, represent. I came across their channel a while ago, like several years ago. Sorry. I wish I had a different microphone, but whatever. I just use my earbuds. Um, and I loved their videos, and I didn't realize that she was left-handed. Jenny Doan. If you didn't know that, now you do. And then I was just like, oh my god. I don't know. Us lefties, I guess, we gotta represent, you know? We have to support each other because we're always backwards. So, yeah. So, did you all have a great holiday season, whichever holiday you celebrate? I hope you did. I hope you enjoyed your time with your family. I know I started this channel a few weeks ago or a month ago, and I had all of these different videos that I wanted to post and was really gung ho and was like, yeah, okay, let's do this. And then life happened and my anxiety kicked in and had some family things to deal with, and it kind of put a kibosh a little bit on me wanting to record because sometimes it just Like my anxiety takes out so much energy out of me where I can't do anything. Like I get up, get out of bed, and that's about it. So I just gotta see what side. Alright, so it's gonna go, so I'll take out this side first. So yeah, and as much as I'm not into New Year's resolutions, like I don't know. The other night my husband and I were talking about just the stuff that's been going on and like how it's affecting us and whatnot. And it's been a little bit of a rough patch in our life right now. Um, but we're surviving, so that's good. um, we have a little bit of a rough patch, and it's been hard on the both of us, and just mentally and emotionally. And I don't know. We had this nice long discussion the other night, and I was telling my therapist on Wednesday, because every Wednesday I go to therapy to help with my anxiety and get different um, coping skills and just trying to deal with everyday life. And I told her, I'm like, I don't know. We sat down, we had this nice long discussion, and ever since then, it's like a switch has been flipped, and I kind of somewhat feel a little bit back to normal. And it's been great. But the only thing that I've noticed is that, like, sometimes I have like this built up energy and I don't know how to get rid of it. Like, and I don't know um where it came from. Like, I'll be like the other night I was in here sewing and I went out into the other room and I was like, "Hi honey, like what are you doing? You're watching TV. Okay, cool." And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, I can't sit right now. Like I have to do something. Like I have all this energy. I don't know how to get rid of it, and I'm just gonna go back and sew some more." And he's like, "Okay, that's cool." And I was explaining it to my therapist, and I'm like, "I don't know if it's all of a sudden I have all this energy where my anxiety was draining me, and now that I kind of feel like somewhat better, and I don't know how long it's going to last. um I don't know if, like, with my anxiety and my mental health and my depression, like if that energy was getting sucked out from dealing with my anxiety, that now all of a sudden that I'm in this good place, that now I'm like, hey, I have this energy again and whatnot. And I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense, but um so yeah, I'm just enjoying it right now. And like I said, I don't know how long it's gonna last. I hope I'm gonna be back to normal again. Um, but we'll see. So yeah, there's that. And it's been a journey with my mental health. And I just want to say to anybody and everybody that's out there, you don't know what others are going through or what battles they're going through with themselves. So just be nice. Like, is it so hard to be nice to others? Like, I don't know. I just see so much meanness in the world now. Like, everybody, it's all about them. Like, I don't know. I don't like it. And, I've always been taught treat others how you would want to be treated. And it just seems like nowadays the good people that do that are few and far between. Don't worry, I didn't rip the coat. It was the stitches coming out. It's all good. um, and it's like everybody is out for themselves, like very self-centered and ignorant and just mean. Like, take that energy and be nice. I don't know. It's just today's world, it's things have changed and it's not for the better. I hope we can go back to being better, but I don't know. And maybe that's just because I've been in, like, sorry, some of the feathers are flying around. Um, because I've always kind of been like in a customer service role, and so I've always killed with kindness, but you take so much crap from everybody because it's like they kind of beat you up, and I'm to the point where I'm like, I was talking with my husband last night. I'm like, my mind has changed, my mindset, I guess. And like, I'm a nice, genuinely nice person. And for so long, I feel like that I've just been bulldozed because of that. And now that I'm trying, like, I've been focusing a lot on trying to recenter myself and find out who I am and whatnot. And like now, I'm still a nice person, but I've learned to speak my mind and my voice. And everybody has their opinions. Everybody has, and that's great because if we all thought the same way or all had the same opinions, I think the world would be so boring. Like you need to um have your own opinions, have your own thought processes, have your own ideas because that's I mean, I don't know. So yeah, so anyways, I was talking with him and I'm like, for so long I've kind of been walked on, like put a pushover and whatnot, and now I'm starting to like stick up for myself and be my own person. And if if you don't like something, it's okay to say that, but you don't have to be nasty about it. You can just be like, oh, like if somebody says I like the color blue and you're like, well, I hate the color blue. You don't have to be nasty. You can just be like, well, I that's good for you, like, but that's not a color that I like, or that color isn't for me, or whatever. Like, you don't have to automatically just be mean about it and like nasty. So I think it's the way that people present themselves sometimes. I don't know. So, whatever. So, yeah. What else was I gonna talk about? See, this is the hard part. I have, like, before I started recording, I kind of took a moment and I was like, sometimes I'll talk to myself and be like, practice what I'm gonna say. Um, I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. And then that doesn't happen. I just kind of start rambling and whatever. But so let's talk about the channel a little bit. So I'm gonna have like how-to videos. Like, I wanted to create a YouTube channel a long time ago on how to crochet left-handed because a lot of the people, and I think I've talked about this before, but you're gonna hear it again. And maybe you haven't seen the other video, but anyways, um, everything is backwards to us. Okay, so I mean, even little things like my husband always, I unload the dishwasher and he loads it because I load it back. I load it the wrong way. And I'm like, well, it's the right way for me. Why don't you get in my world? Like, And even when I worked in the office, I worked for a while with my grandma in a business, and even when we would file things in like before we had the computers or we still had some paper files for what the industry that we worked in. But even she would laugh at me and she's like, "Well, you're filing these backwards." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You have to face the folders this way so that when you open it, you can see it." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, you open the drawer this way." And she's like, "Oh yeah, you're left-handed." I'm like, "Oh, whatever." So it's like even simple things like that, like the way you file stuff or do things. It's always flipped. And with watching YouTube videos and stuff or reading patterns, like they'll describe it, how to work it right-handed, and then it's always, and if you're left-handed, just flip it. And it's like, no, I mean, technically, yes, but sometimes our brains can't do that. Like, I, I struggle sometimes with just flipping it. And so I started watching different YouTube videos and trying to learn new stitches and whatnot. And there's some really great channels out there. And I was following one for the longest time, and they have a ton of videos. They're really popular, and I enjoy them. He's a great instructor, great teacher, but it just was discouraging because, and I know it takes a lot to make these videos, don't get me wrong. Um, but all they do when they make the left-handed crochet videos, they just use the same video, but they mirror the image. So all the audio and everything's exactly the same, but it's just that the video image is flipped. And I'm like, yeah, but see, you're not really doing it left-handed then. And I guess that's just me. I feel entitled, I guess. I don't really. I don't. I guess you could say, but it just wasn't what I expected, I guess. So it just felt fake to me. So now I'm starting my own left-handed video tutorial channel, and it's all gonna be left-handed stuff. So there's that. But anyways, so originally I just remembered where I was going with that story. So originally I had picked up a book, and I forget where I picked it up from, but it's like 200, it's like a crochet stitch dictionary, and it has like, oh, this is really sewn in there. It has like 200 different stitches. So originally I was like, oh, I can buy this book and then I can make 200 videos and this and that. Well, then that never came about. But now, guess what? You're gonna have, if you choose to watch them, 200 videos of different crochet stitches. We'll start with that. And other stuff like this in between. Because who wants, if you're not into crochet, then that's fine. I'll have other stuff on there too. But at least if there's someone out there that I can help, then I hope I can. So don't worry. I'm just picking out the threads now from the zipper because this is what it looks like now. Like, this is the outside of the coat and this is the inside, like the lining. So I just picked that all apart, but now I have to pick out like all the threads that I just cut. That's why I put the apron on, because this can get very thready, we'll say, like all the tiny different little threads. So it's time consuming with this, but it's still relaxing for me. This part is. And let me tell you, with all these learning how to do this, I've gotten really good at picking out zippers because I don't know how many I've actually put in, and then I've had to take them out because, yeah. Sorry, I was just looking to see where we were at on time. But anywho, um, yeah, so my plan for my channel, I know I keep going back to this, but I just want to give you an idea. It's going to have crochet videos. It's going to have random videos of me working on stuff like this. And my thought process is always different. I don't know if I have ADD or what, but I'm constantly thinking of different things. Like every day of the week, I was gonna, like, Monday was gonna be Mindfulness Monday, and Tuesday was gonna be Teach Me Tuesday, and Wednesday was gonna be Whip Wednesday, and Thursday was gonna be Tailor with Me Thursday, where I do stuff like this. But then my thought process on that was, well, I don't want to be showing like people's clothes or whatever on here. But then I was like, oh, just take the name tag off, and if it's pretty basic stuff, like if it's not something that's custom, like this is just a regular blue Columbia coat, doesn't have anybody's information on it, so I can do stuff like that. And then Friday was going to be Follow Up Friday. Well, now I've kind of changed my thought process on that a little bit. But I think Wednesdays are still going to be Whip Wednesdays, where we have what's called Whip and Chats. And basically, what that is work in progress. It's WIP, work in progress, Whip and Chats, where we just kind of do stuff like this, work on a project, and you can sit there and listen to me chit chat if you so choose. And hopefully, I bring you interesting conversation. And my mind just went blank for a second. So I think I'm still gonna do that on Wednesdays. My, I don't know, it might just be a bunch of random stuff, but I want to have some type of order because it helps. It helps with my anxiety too. Like when I first started dealing with this, anxiety and like learning about it and trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with me. Sorry, try not to swear, but um it was hard. It was hard. Um but I've started listening to different audiobooks, and I've been researching a lot of different things, and I've been listening to different podcasts, and I've come a long way. And as much as I just want to be like, um, not have a schedule and kind of just be free, so to say, like with my days, I need to have some type of routine. And my husband and I started listening to an audiobook, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's on Spotify. And the author talks about how, like, sometimes you need a routine because otherwise it's always living in chaos because you never know from day to day. And something that I've been trying to do for the longest time is organize our house. And our house isn't that big, okay? So it's easy to clean and whatnot, but I've just never been consistent with it. And so back in, I think it was March, We're going to get real here. We're going to talk about mental health and mental illness. So, if this is a trigger for you, I'm letting you know. This is where we're going because I'm going to be real with you, okay? So, back in March, I was at work at the time. It was a job that I had started in August the previous year. Was it August? Yeah. Um, Loved the job, loved the people that I worked with. It was something different because I had worked at a previous company that I had worked, like, it's my previous job was something that I had always been around all of my life. Um, and it got to the point where I had been doing it for so long and I had been dealing with um, pretty much, I felt, running a business for someone who had no clue. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Um, and I knew that there was more in me and that I wanted more out of life and not have the constant stress of what I had to do on a day to day basis for this other job. Okay. So I decided to quit that job. I also had some health, at that time, some other health concerns that I was needing to take care of. One of them was that I had skin cancer. I had melanoma. I had a mole on my back that uh, I've had the mole forever, but it started to change and be and grow, I guess you could say. And it wasn't like a perfect circle anymore. It was kind of getting um, discolored and misshapen. So I talked, I was like, went to the dermatologist, talked with my husband, and I was like, I've noticed this. And he's like, yeah, I've noticed it too. I think you should go get it checked out. I'm like, all right, cool. So I did. And it turned out that it was skin cancer, melanoma. And because I've had the mole for so long and I've kept an eye on it, um, but what happens with melanoma, I guess, from what I've learned, is that um, because it's on your skin, I guess you could say the roots of it, like, can go down into your bloodstream depending on how thick it is. And the thickness depends on how far down those roots go into your skin. So, anyways, um, I had to go in and have it removed. And it was something that really bothered me. And I was really nervous about it because I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. And not that the doctors scared me, but they're telling me, like, we have to go in and surgically remove it and then check your lymph nodes to make sure that the roots of this mole hasn't gone into your bloodstream and gone to somewhere else in your body. And it was just scary. And I have a family history of breast cancer from my mom. And so I automatically was thinking, oh my God, this and that. And it was just a lot for me to process and deal with. Was this last year? No, it was 2 years ago. This was 2 years ago. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. I had to think about it. So, and there was a lot of personal other stuff going on in my life. And so I decided that, I talked with my husband and I'm like, I can't work for this company that I've been at for so long because I need to focus on this a little bit and kind of take like a mental break and whatnot. And so he's like, yeah, do what you have to do. Now, in the meantime, he also had to have surgery on his back. And it's something that he's been kind of putting off because some people say once you start with back surgery, you never stop. Okay. But he's he was a football player back in middle school and high school and whatever, and actually blew out his back lifting weights in high school. So he's kind of had some issues or whatnot. Well, he's had this nerve that's been pinched off in his a pinched nerve in his back that he had been dealing with for like 2 or 3 years. And he's like, I really got to get this taken care of because my leg is numb. It's hard for me like to walk because I can't feel my leg and stuff. And it was really starting to affect him. It wasn't that he was in pain. It was just that he couldn't feel his leg, okay? And so he saw a doctor for that, and they're like, well, there's this it's not like we have to go in and automatically start fusing your spine or this or that or whatever. He's had shots, I guess cortisone shots and different things, and they've helped or whatever. And so anyways, he had to go in and have this surgery. So I was like, and what they were going to do is that they were going to shave part of the bulging disc that was pinching off his nerve. All they could they're like, well, let's do this. Let's just shave off this part of the bulge, and it'll open up that opening to the nerve and be good. Okay, cool. So that summer was very hard because we both had to have surgery, and I was worried about him and he was worried about me, and I decided to take off of work because I couldn't handle it anymore, the stress at work, and it was affecting my life. Like, I would just come home and be miserable, and I didn't want to do anything, talk to anybody, because it took a lot of energy out of me. And he didn't like the person that I was becoming, and he's like, this is ridiculous. Um, we need to figure something else out for you. He's like, because you can't continue to live like this. And I'm like, all right. So I was like, well, let's get through our surgeries, and then I quit my job. Let's get through our surgeries, and after I recover, I'll start looking for a new job. Okay? Sorry, I guess this is a longer story than I expected it to be. So he had his surgery in June of 2022. Yes. Yeah, because 2023 was 1 year mark for us. Okay. He went in, had his surgery June of 2022. I could not go with him. Well, I mean, I could go with him, but I wasn't allowed in the building because it was like at a surgery center that's adjacent to the hospital, because of COVID and whatnot. And and I chose, this might offend some people, but this is my opinion. This is, everybody has their own things that they choose to do and not do for themselves. And I chose not to get vaccinated for COVID, and so they wouldn't allow me to be in to go with him. Uh, I basically could drive him there and sit in the parking lot, and then when he was done, go and pick him up. Okay? Do you know how hard that is? And it was really difficult because I've had an issue with my esophagus where sometimes the mobility, it won't push food down, and food will get, it's not that I'm choking, it's just that food will sit in my throat and I can feel it. And it takes forever. Sometimes it won't move, and I have to go to the emergency room and they have to do an endoscopy where they put the tube down your throat and physically like remove the food because it just sits there and it hurts and it's uncomfortable and you're like gagging trying to get the food up and you're trying to like drink water to push and nothing will work. Well, that happened during COVID and I had to go to the emergency room and they had to now I've gone through this before. I've had 4 or 5 of them, but it was very difficult because I had to do this when COVID was all happening, and they wouldn't allow my husband to come into the. He wasn't allowed in the hospital with me. It was at the point where COVID was just, I think, starting to come around, and so I was in the emergency room dealing with this by myself, scared because every time this happens, I know that I'm gonna have to get a scope done and whatnot. But I've always had somebody there with me. And that, so for me to drop him off outside the door, wait in the parking lot, for him to have this back surgery was very difficult for me. And thank God his mom was here for that because she was able to go in there and sit with him and be with him because she was vaccinated and whatnot. But it was very hard because you never know what might happen. And thank God everything was fine. So they did the surgery, and I didn't know what the recovery was going to be. They didn't really say anything. So I think it was like a 2-hour procedure maybe by the time with his anesthesia, surgery, and recovery. Maybe it was like 2 hours, but it was the longest 2 hours of my life. um, so anyways, after the surgery, they're like, okay, he's done. Come to this side of the building by the door and we'll bring him out to you. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, they didn't know that bring him out to me was going to be him walking out to me. Like, oh my gosh, no wheelchair, nothing. And I was like, so you just had back surgery? And he's like, he's still out of it. He goes, yeah. And I'm like, well, I don't know, back surgery, but whatever. And and you're out here walking like no big deal. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. So I was like, well, I'm thinking his surgery was gonna like he was gonna have to have like recovery time and not be able to walk for a few days, or if he was able to walk, it was gonna be very no. It was like in and out, bing bang boom, done. And I'm like, oh. So he's like, well, if I would have known it was gonna be this easy, like a few days later, he's like, if I would have known it was gonna be like this, I would have done this a long time ago. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, I just didn't know that this was an option or whatever. And he's like, and I thought that they were gonna have to go in and like fuse stuff together or do this or do that. And like, he's like, if I would have known it was gonna be like this, I wouldn't have waited 2 years. And I'm like, well, now to this day, he walks better. Still doesn't really have a lot of feeling in his leg, but with the nerve being pinched off for so long, they said it will take time for it to come back. And there's moments where we'll be sitting there and he's like, "Oh, I got a leg cramp. Oh my God." And it's his bad leg. And he'll be like, "Oh my God, it hurts so bad." But I think that's the nerves trying to come back. Okay. So there are moments like that. But, and he's doing better. He walks better now. Like, I don't know, his stance before was kind of like, he had kind of a limp or whatnot, but he walks normal now. Doesn't have full feeling in his foot, but it's getting there. So thank God for that. So his surgery was scheduled in June. Mine was, oh, there was a lot of back and forth with mine with insurance and whatnot. But then I had mine July. July 6th, because I remember on the 4th of July I had to go in and have the nose swab for COVID so that they could have the results in time. So, of 2022. So, um, and I'm thinking, well, okay, I feel better because I know, he's good. He had a surgery, everything turned out okay. Um, this mole on my back's no big deal. Like, I'll be in and out, no problem. And his scar is like this big. Okay, that's like right next to his spine, like that big. My scar on my back, I'll put pictures in for you if you want. It's on my left shoulder blade, and I have a tattoo of an angel on my back. The angel's wing is gone. My scar is like this. And I think they said it was, I forget how many stitches they put in. For a mole, that was this big. But they had to do that. So the way they explained it to me was that um, because of the way that they have to cut the skin out, they can't just do it in a circle. So they had to make a bigger incision so that they could fold the skin over to cover the hole, um, and do it that way. So that's why my incision is bigger and my scar is this big for something that's this big, is because you can't just fill it in. It's like a flap closure, I guess. Like an envelope back on a pillow for any sewers out there, I guess you could say. Um, and because of the thickness of my mole, like I was borderline on, like I was in my specialist that I go and see. I have to go see him in a couple weeks, but he's like, you're kind of in the gray area. He's like, it's not thin enough that we can just go in and take it out and everything's good. He's like, you're kind of at that in between where it's thick enough into your the roots are thick enough that it's in your bloodstream and could possibly have gone to other parts. Um, but it's also maybe not. So when I went in for my surgery, they had to do a lymph node test first. So they went in through my armpit to check the lymph nodes on this side, and then they put me under for the surgery. And the one, um, no, I'm sorry. I had to have a nuclear medicine test. Like, so the day of my surgery, July 6th, I went in. I had to have a nuclear medicine test where I had to take a medicine to light up my lymph nodes and my veins in my body, and they had to do a scan to see if anything stuck out, and to see if any lymph nodes stuck out that might have been affected by this melanoma. Okay. And so there was one that was in by my armpit. So I had the scan done, and then after that, they took me back, put me under, and had the surgery. And they first went in through my armpit to look for the lymph node. and take that out because they wanted to test it. And then they went in to my back and dug out the mole on my skin, but they also had to dig into my muscle tissue um, to make sure that they got everything. So when they explained it to me, I'm just thinking of like taking a melon baller and scooping stuff out. Sorry if this is too graphic for you, but this is how I feel it went. And yeah, so it was more invasive than I expected. And when I came out of my surgery, I had more things involved for this itty bitty mole than I planned for. And my husband later said to me, he's like, "No, I knew yours was going to be more involved than mine." And I'm like, "Well, thanks for sharing that with me because I had no idea." Like, I think I was just in a mindset where I was just, I don't know. I don't know. But, anyways, I came out of my surgery and I had um, a drain in my armpit with tubes coming out, and we had to drain that every day to get all the fluid out so that I wouldn't get any infections. And I had that in for about a week. And with being left handed and being on my left side, I still have issues sometimes. This arm, for the, I bet you it took me a few months to finally get full range and not be able to have pain and do things. And sometimes there's still, I'll get a knot in my back. And so I had this surgery in July and was recovering from it pretty good, really well. Like I said, after I got my drain out and everything, I was doing good. And then the stitches came out and everything. And I've been doing really good with it. And I've been fine. So then, the end of August, beginning of September of 22, I started this new job at a manufacturing company. And loved it, loved everything about it. It was a different set of pace for me. It was something new. It was not stressful like what I was dealing with before. And I went in telling them, "Hey, listen, I had the surgery in July, so I still don't have full range of my arm. So just bear with me a little bit, and like I can do the job. It's just I have some restrictions right now, but those will go away." They're like, "Cool, no problem." Um, so dealt with that, and then um had a death in the family that really took a toll on me, and yeah, it he was married into the family, but he was a big impact in my life, and it was my aunt's husband. And I don't know if that caused my anxiety or if it just made it hyper sensitive. It'll be better if I turn this off. Sorry, I shouldn't have had that on this whole time. Now you can see me better. I have the window open and I had, because it's easier, but I'm not sewing right now. I'm kind of got wrapped up in this. Um, it was my aunt's husband. He was my uncle by marriage, and he had a big impact on my life. And he passed away. He had a lot of different health concerns, but he always seemed to pull through and whatnot. And it was a shock. Um, and I don't know if that like kind of hyper I activated my anxiety or whatnot, but um, they lived out of state, and so my aunt had services out where they live, and then in March they came here and had services here because they originally were from the state that I'm in Illinois. And it seemed like after his memorial service, as you can see, this is hard for me to talk about. After his memorial services, that next day or that following Monday or Tuesday. I went into work, everything was fine, doing good. And then I all of a sudden sat down at my desk and I um was kind of, I say, hyper. Like I was worked up because I was working and I had to get some stuff done and I was kind of amped up a little bit. I sat down at my desk and all of a sudden it felt like I was having a stroke. Like I got this random sharp pain in my head and then I just felt like I was having a stroke. Like I asked my coworker, I'm like, can you go get Kathy? Because I don't feel good. Something's not right. And I know that I was starting to slur my speech and things were happening. Like I was having an out of body experience, I guess you could say. And it was very scary. I was very worried. And I didn't really know what was going on. They were asking me questions and I could answer them in my head, but I couldn't get the words out. And like I was very slow at articulating and everything. So they had to take me by ambulance to the hospital and they ended up calling my husband. And I know he was there and he was freaked out and they're taking me for a CT scan to check for um, aneurysm, stroke, stuff like that. And they're talking to me and I'm like, my husband said it was very scary because it was like I was there, but you could tell in my eyes that I was off, like somewhere else. And to go through that, I'm trying not to get emotional. Um, and they checked everything, and to go through that and then be told, well, there's nothing wrong with you. Everything's fine. It was hard. And like I came home and then like the next day they said we'll follow up with the neurologist and try to get in with them right away and have an MRI done. And I'm like, all right, cool. Um, I remember being at home and still not feeling 100%, like something's still wrong and whatever. And so my husband took care of me for a few days. Um, and then he was on the phone trying to schedule with the neurologist and the MRI and everything. And then I ended up back in the hospital again because I started to feel that something's wrong, something's not right, feeling again. And he took me back to the hospital and they admitted me and kept me overnight to observe. And they actually scheduled an MRI while I was in the hospital, while they admitted me. And the next day I saw the doctor and they're like, there's nothing wrong. Like there's nothing in your brain that shows any concerns. There's no clots, uh there's nothing. It's anxiety. It's like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, it's just anxiety. So follow up with a uh psychiatrist or whatever and you're good to go home. Okay, cool. It's very hard. The brain does a lot of different things, and it took a lot out of me. I think I was out of work for 2 weeks, and then they started to call, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they were great with all this. They'd call and check in on me and whatnot, and then they're like, "So, are you coming back to work?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I don't know if I can come in full time right now. If we can work with me a little bit, maybe we can do part time and build back up to full time and whatever. And they're like, yeah, no problem, no problem. So I did that and trying to deal with that and think there's nothing wrong with me, but there still feels something's not right. um, was hard for me to process, and I just felt like at any given second something was going to happen. Um, so there was a lot of discussions with my husband, and I'm like, I, I and luckily I was able to get in. I didn't go to a psychiatrist. I got in with a therapist right away, and I've been doing that. Um, and that's been helping. Um, but so March of 23, I that happened, and then in April I decided that I could no longer work, that I needed to take time to focus on myself and my health, because being told that nothing was wrong with me, but it was all anxiety, I was just like, so how do I fix that? Like, I there's medicine, but I don't necessarily want to go on the route of taking a medicine and whatever. And so we're talking with my therapist, and she's like, "Well, your body, with your job from before, it was such a fight. You were always in a flight or fight situations with everything that you were dealing with, and on a day-to-day basis, that you were constantly in that stressful situation day in and day out." And she's like, now you're kind of living a normal life where you don't have those constant things, and your body doesn't know how to react. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had a discussion with my husband, and he's like, I think you need to take some more time off of work and just focus on you. He's like, when you quit your previous job, we had the surgeries that we were dealing with, and you didn't have a lot of time to recover from it. And um, he's like, I want you to be able to take care of yourself. And he has a job that has great benefits, and I'm on his insurance plan, and they covered all the costs for both of our surgeries and everything. So I was thankful for that. And he's like, take time for yourself, figure yourself out, get yourself right, get yourself into a good mindset, and then we'll go from there. And I was just like, holy cow, like, I don't deserve you. Um, but I think that's what I needed, and it's still a struggle. Like, it's not like I said. These last few days, I've been in a really good place. I feel more normal, but trying to deal with everyday life can be hard, and it can be a struggle, and I just want others out there to know that you're not alone. Like, I never thought that I would be in this situation. And shit just got real because I like stopped everything that I was doing. This is the first time that I've actually come out and publicly talked about this, but I feel in me, I know what I went through, and for me to share with others and to hopefully help them know that they're not the only ones out there that are dealing with this is huge, because I've been reading a lot of books, listening to a lot of podcasts, going to therapy, finding things like this that kind of get me out of that mindset. And with all the intrusive thoughts, because your mind likes to play tricks on you. And for a moment, my mind took over my body and took over everything, and was like, yeah, telling me things. And it's like, no. And a big struggle for me was something, people say, well, you got to listen to your body. Well, how do you listen to your body when your brain is constantly telling you that something is wrong when in reality it's not? That was huge for me. And I even talked to my therapist about it. She goes, well, you got to listen to your body. how do I do that? Because whatever little voice that is up in my brain that's telling me, like my body's telling me that I'm fine, but this is, oh no, no, you're not fine. You're gonna feel this or that, and I was always in a constant state of worry, like, oh my God, something's gonna happen today. Um, I have to call my husband to make sure that he's okay because I feel like something's gonna happen, and it was constant. And to have clarity right now for these last few days that I've had has felt amazing, and I'm hoping that it will stay. Like, I had a little bit of a panic attack a few weeks ago. Paramedics came to the house and checked me out. Everything was good. Um, but right now I am in a good place, and I hope that it stays. And I'm trying to keep the control and not let my brain take over. And I know that not everybody is the same, and what works for me may not work for you, or like I chose not, like I wanted to like I didn't want to be put on medicine because I felt like I'm already dealing with this anxiety, and then like I was thinking, well, if I'm put on medicine and then I have an allergic reaction, or I have some type of symptom, or I have some, that's just gonna spiral even more. So, if I'm not crazy enough. So that was a thought. Sorry. Um, uh, so I didn't want to take medicine because I didn't want to constantly be like, is this a side effect from the medicine or is something really wrong? Like, yeah, I just felt crazy all the time. Anywho, I worked with my therapist. I go every week. Sometimes I just ramble like I do here. Um, Never thought that I would be a person to meditate, but I've learned there's an app that it was a free app, but then I actually subscribed for their, subscribed to it, and it's called Headspace, and there's a lot of different apps out there, Calm, Headspace, um, several different types of apps to help you and take advantage of them, because now I feel like I get a moment and I'm like, okay, just stop, breathe, and the breath work and the meditation and recentering, excuse me, has helped me exponentially. It didn't at first, like at first I'm like, yeah, okay. I just spit a little bit, sorry. um I'm like, yeah, breath work, meditation, whatever. Um but now it's what I turn to, and it has helped. Um, there's a podcast that I found. I haven't listened to her in a while, but when I first got diagnosed, I guess you could say, with anxiety, uh, I'll link it in the description. But it was Dr. Anxiety. She's also on Spotify, and other platforms. Listening, knowing that I'm not the only person that feels this way or that's going through this, and that there's a lot more out there. I hope you find this and that you've made it this long into this video. Um, but yeah, I just needed to share and know that you're not the only one, and I feel for you, and you can overcome it. Like, I know it's hard, it's a struggle. Trust, like, one thing that I try not to say with people, like, is, yeah, I know what you're going through. In a sense, like, you kind of, like, people will say that, but they don't, like, it's not the same for everybody. But I feel for you. I kind of know what you're going through because I but like I said, it's not the same for everybody. So I feel for you. If you need someone to talk to help you, like I can be there for you. I can listen. I'm not a therapist. I'm not anybody special like that. I don't have any medical backgrounds, but um I'll try. Like that's all I can say is I'll try to help the best that I can. And what works for some people doesn't work for others. There's another like person that I have talked to in the past, like when I was trying to find fitness and get my life back in order before all this anxiety. Like I wanted to eat better and do stuff, and I tried out the Beachbody stuff. And my coach on there, she actually just started a podcast, and she talks a lot about her anxiety and depression and stuff that she went through, and how she knows that if she takes her medicine every day, that's enough for her, and her exercise is enough for her. Not everybody's treatment plans are going to be the same. So do what you think is best for you, but just know that there's others out there who can help you, um, and support you. So, yeah, I think on that note, um, I gotta go because this kind of went on a way that I wasn't expecting it to. Like, I was expecting to be on here and be chipper and sew with you and do all this stuff, and I ripped it out, and now I'm like, so I need to get back into this. I didn't mean to take you on a dark journey, but I just wanted to be real with you and just tell you, like, yeah, a little bit about myself and my craziness, I guess. I always told my therapist, yeah, I'm just crazy. I don't know how to get rid of it. You're not crazy. It's just you're trying to process this. And I'm like, I know, but I feel like I'm a crazy person. You're not. But I just hope that this video can help someone, and just know that you're not the only one out there struggling. Um, yeah. Find what makes you happy. Um, if it's reading a book, if you want to try to start a craft. Um, because I find that my crafts, sometimes just the rhythm of it and the momentum, like when I'm crocheting, the counting, the rhythm, it helps tremendously. It gives my brain just enough of a job to do where it turns off, but I'm still focused. Like it's not like I'm thinking of all these things. It kind of, okay, this is what we're doing. And I don't have squirrel brain. So, yeah. All right. Well, on that note, I'm gonna say see you later. I hope that my next video won't be so dark and depressing and such a trigger. But I just wanted to share my journey and my life with you a little bit into how I got here with this, and um, I just want to be out there to help others. So have a great day, and I'll see you. I'm probably gonna record some. I'm gonna try to record some videos this weekend to post for like so these talk ones, unedited. As soon as I'm done, they're uploaded. More of like my tutorial videos are gonna be more edited and cut and paste and different sounds and stuff. But these ones where we were sitting and talking and whatever, it's gonna be real. No edits. As soon as I'm done recording, it's going to get uploaded. I'm gonna do the descriptions and everything and whatnot, and do all my links um, to what I talked about, and it's going up. So it's real. As much as I don't say that I like reality TV because it's not reality, there's still whatever. This is reality. So unscripted, from the heart, life's journey, a real person talking about life. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for going down that road with me. If you've made it this far, leave, if you want to reach out to me, feel free to. Like, if you need someone to talk, I'm here for you. This is a great community, and I just hope that um, you found this and that it helps you. Or maybe you know someone that it might help. And yeah, just live in the moment. Like, that's all I can. It was hard for me to live in the moment because I was constantly thinking that something was going to happen. And now I'm back into just living in the moment and not having the intrusive thoughts. It's going to take time, it's going to take work, just like anything else. Like I said, I didn't think that I was one for meditating, and I did it for a few days, and I'm like, yeah, okay. But I do it every day, or I try to do it every day, and just listening to different self-help books and finding that confidence, and finding, ways to help, and you'll get there. Okay. Thank you as always. I will see you in my next video. Bye.